After 300 episodes, I've seen what works, what burns people out, and what really matters when you're growing a business in midlife. Today, I'm talking about and sharing the top 10 biggest lessons I've learned over 300 episodes so you can skip the noise and focus on what actually moves your business forward. Welcome to the Midlife Business Academy. I'm Lori Lyons, marketing strategist, business coach, and accidental techie. After years of running a successful website design agency, I'm now building the business of my dreams and helping other midlife entrepreneurs do the same. From strategy to marketing to mindset, we covered what really matters when you're growing a business that fits your life. Let's get started. If your marketing feels off, your offers aren't converting, and you're starting to wonder if you're the problem, stop right there. It's not you, it's your strategy. Midlife business owners need a different approach, one that's clear, focused, sustainable, and simple. Let's find yours. Book a free Profitable Path Discovery call, and we'll walk through where you are, what's next, and whether we're a fit to work together. Go to talkwithlori.com to book your time. So, welcome to episode 301. Can't believe I'm saying that, considering, it's just been such a short time, but here we are. 300 episodes and a brand new name. If you've listened to episode 300, you know that the Encore Entrepreneur has officially evolved into the Midlife Business Academy. So, yes, you're in the right place. Why? Because we're different. We've grown just like every other business. We've grown and expanded and changed and morphed. And in the last 300 episodes, I've seen some patterns. I've seen habits that hold people back, moments that spark movement and real momentum, the places where we get stuck, not because we're not capable, but because we're trying to build businesses the same way we did 30 years ago, or the same way 30-year-olds are building it today. But our life is different. So today I'm going to share my top 10 lessons from 300 episodes of coaching, conversations, late night realizations, late night sleeplessness. And these aren't marketing trends or podcast hacks. They're truths that I've lived and I've seen in my clients over and over again, especially for those in midlife. So let's jump right in. Lesson number one. Simple wins. In fact, my company incorporated name is Make Your Marketing Simple. So I believe in simplicity. It's one of the hardest lessons for us to embrace and to learn. Simplicity scales, complexity stalls. But simple doesn't mean easy. I've had clients to come to me with 3 different websites, 5 offers, a podcast, a YouTube channel, and no clear message or strategy tying it all together. They're working constantly, burned out, and they're making very little money. And it's not because they're doing the wrong things, it's because they're doing too many things. But the truth is, your audience wants you to make it simple. They want to know exactly what you have to offer. They want to know exactly who it's for and how it helps them in very simple language. That's it. When we simplify, we free up our energy, we stop second guessing ourselves, and we make space for that forward movement and momentum. Simplicity is the first step to sustainability. Lesson number 2. Midlife can bring you clarity if you let it. At this point in our life, we've got some lived experience, some of us more than others. And that means we have incredible insight, not just into what works, but into what doesn't work for us. We know what works and what doesn't work. But here's where we get stuck. We override that with shoulds. I should launch a group program because everyone else is. I should be doing more reels. I should start a membership. But the truth is, clarity isn't always loud. It whispers, it nudges, it shows up inside of us in that form of resistance and burnout and dread. When we're resisting something, it's probably because it's a should, not an I need to or I have to. And have to meaning you have this deep desire to do this, so you have to. When something feels heavy every time you think about it, it's not resistance, it's misalignment. Midlife gives us the chance to say, this didn't work for me anymore. And that lesson, listen to that. Lesson number 3, you can't out hustle a misaligned message. You can be the hardest worker in the room. You can show up every day. You can be at all the things. You can talk to everybody. You know enough, a bunch of people. But if your message doesn't connect, none of that effort will make a difference. I had a client, I'm going to call her Sharon, who was a phenomenal health coach, but she kept positioning herself as a weight loss expert because she thought that's what people wanted. Every time she talked about calories or macros or going to the gym or working out, her energy dropped. You could see it when she talked about it. But when she talked about helping women feel confident in their own skin, she glowed. She lit up. It was a very different energy coming off of her. So that's when we shifted her message to match what she really cared about. And her business took off, not because we changed her offer, but because we changed her words. And her words resonated with her. So a clear, emotionally aligned message is the difference between should and magnetism. No clients, more clients. I recently had a conversation with someone that she was a referral. And it was interesting. And I really, really, really wanted to work with her. I really could have helped her. And she was struggling with totally changing her business. But the first problem was she was overcomplicating it. The second problem was that she wasn't thinking about the problems she solved for her clients. She was only thinking about the pretty language she should use when describing what she did. And it wasn't resonating. It wasn't making her money. It was totally false on her website. The language and the messaging didn't land. And she couldn't or wouldn't see it. She was too caught up in the language that ChatGPT was spitting out, not with keeping it simple, saying, this is what I help people with. And sometimes we get so caught up in that. And lesson number 4, your energy leads the business. And here's something I've learned the hard way. You can have a perfect strategy, but if your energy is frazzled, scattered, or resentful, people will feel it. You're dealing with shoulds, not what feels right, not what feels aligned. In this referrals case that I talked about a second ago, she was so busy worrying about what she was, the pretty words that she was going to put out there and how to, she was an energetic healer. And she was so worried about being all energy focused and spiritual focused that she wasn't talking about the problem that she solved. Because the problem that she solved would have resonated very closely with that energetic audience. But she wouldn't talk about it. She only wanted to talk about the pretty words. And in midlife, our energy is precious. We're managing so many things. We're managing aging parents. We're helping kicking our kids out of the house, maybe navigating health changes or a shifting identity or business. And still, we expect ourselves to function like we did in our 30s. So, this lesson is about grace. It's about tuning in. It's about recognizing when you need to pause, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. The more I honor my own energy, the better my business flows. This year, I've really focused on my self care, and I'm starting to not feel guilty when I take the time to go to a massage or go to a gym. I've learned that I'm the energy of my business, and I'm finally learning to take care of that energy. I had a massage yesterday morning, and it was wonderful. It's one of the highlights of my month. And I think, why didn't I do this before? Because it really, you know, I drive 45 minutes and I pass a lot of spas on the way. And I'll talk about this sometime about why I go to this one. Great customer experience. But anyway, I book 90 minutes because I'm driving 45 minutes away. And that 90 minutes, I come out feeling so refreshed and so, so many ideas are popping and just because I'm taking care of myself in a really good way. So, lesson number 5, your website alone won't save you. And if you know me, I bet you didn't see that one coming. Because after years of running a website design agency, I've seen the same pattern over and over and over again. Business owners think a new website will suddenly bring in leads, make them feel confident, and clear up all their messaging confusion. But here's a spoiler alert. It's not Field of Dreams. It's not build it and they will come because it doesn't apply here. Your website is only as strong as the clarity behind it. It's not the beginning of your strategy, it's the expression of your strategy. That's why I've shifted more into strategy and coaching. Because if your offer, your message, and your audience isn't clear, no amount of pretty design is going to fix it. That was the case with my health agency. She had a decent website. It just had bad messaging. So don't start with a tool. Start with what is true in your business. Then let your website reflect that. Because as the years passed, I was working more and more with clients around their messaging before we actually started laying out the design. Because the style of messaging has definitely changed, and I will say for the better. I love that it's very clear when you show what you do and you talk to the people you are meant to serve. So let's go to lesson number 6. Marketing is not a one size fits all. And if I may say something so bold, most marketing advice isn't made for midlife business owners. I've been in coaching programs where I was surrounded by business owners in their 50s and 60s, but the content and the strategies were clearly geared to someone 20 or 30 years older. I can say there were very, very few of us that wanted to dance on TikTok. We remember life before the internet. We remember scrolling through the yellow pages looking for leads. We get frustrated with tech, not because we're incapable of it, but because nobody explains it in a way that respects our experience. A lot of times we just want to know the why, not necessarily the how. We need context. We need to know why something matters. And we need permission to build our businesses in a way that fits us because there is no one size fits all formula. There's only what fits your goals, your season of life, and your strengths. So, lesson number 7, consistency beats brilliance every time. Because here's the truth, you don't have to be brilliant, you just have to be consistent. So, I guess you could say you could be consistently unbrilliant. I've recorded episodes that felt kind of to me, and those are the ones that people write me about. They're the ones that have the most downloads, which is so surprising to me. I've shared stories I thought no one would care about, only to have people write me and tell me how much they resonated with them. So what matters is showing up, not perfectly, not always brilliantly, but genuinely. Consistency builds trust, and trust will build everything else. You don't need viral, you need visible. There's that, there's the know, like, and trust factor that we talk about as marketers and business owners all the time. For me, it's know, like, then trust. So I switch it up because if I don't get to know you or want to know you, I don't necessarily care to like you, and I certainly wouldn't trust you. So in our stages of life, knowing people and building that relationship is important when we decide on the like. And our listeners and our clients, they want to know they can trust us. So, lesson number 8 that I've learned is people are watching even when you don't know they are. And this one kind of surprised me, but it's true. There's always somebody watching, lurking, listening. And a lot of times those quiet followers become your best clients. We don't see the engagement like we used to on social media. We don't know who's out there and reading and watching. There's so much scrolling by that you'd be surprised at how many people actually listen or how many people actually notice. They may not comment, but they see. I've had people book with me who've never liked a post, who've never commented, who've never emailed me. And when I see their name come up on my calendar, I'm like, huh, who is that? And then they'll just say, I've been following you for a year. I've listened to your podcast, or I've, been a member of your group for a while and I'm ready. So you don't stop just because you're not getting visible results, just because you're not seeing what the algorithm is telling you. You're still consistent and you're still being visible. Someone out there needs what you do and they're paying attention. Keep showing up, even if it feels like no one is listening. So, lesson number 9, you can't think your way into confidence. Now, this one's for my overthinkers. You'll never feel 100% ready. Confidence doesn't come before you take action. It comes because you take action. So stop getting ready to get ready to get ready. And I am so guilty of this. I've been talking about this podcast relaunch for close to a year. I remember a year ago, this time, I was talking to a podcast coach about rebranding my podcast. It's taken me a year. I had to work my way into it. So start the podcast, launch the offer, raise the price. The fear won't go away, but your relationship to it will change. As I said, I was terrified when I launched the podcast. I'm terrified now of making this change. I'm terrified now of offering hot seat live coaching. Check it out. I'm terrified because I'm stepping away from websites as my primary business. Still doing them, still have the agency, but I have a wonderful team. But for me, I'm going into the front end of it. Every single step I've taken has created confidence that I could not have manufactured by journaling it or vision boarding it or wishing it or dreaming it or hoping that or manifesting it. You can't manifest action. You have to do it. So my clarity came through doing. So lesson number 10, midlife is your business superpower. You've lived, you've led, you've learned. Midlife gives you something the 20-something coaches and consultants don't have. They don't have context and experience. You've failed, you've pivoted, you've swiveled, you've made decisions with real consequences. That makes your voice valuable. That makes your message magnetic. That makes your leadership real. So stop apologizing for your age. It's not a liability, it's your leverage. And the more you own that, the more you attract clients who are looking for exactly what you bring. You don't need to keep up. You don't need to stand strong. You just need to be consistent and keep it simple because midlife is not your limitation. It's your edge. So why share all these lessons now? Because this new season of the podcast is going to build on everything I've talked about. In the coming weeks and episodes, I'll be sharing frameworks I've created to help business owners simplify, clarify, and get traction, not with more hustle, but with simpler, smarter systems. You're going to hear me talk about creating flow in your business, designing offers that align with your energy, attracting clients with messaging that reflects who you are now, not who you used to be, and building a business that actually fits your life. I'm also bringing back guests who are experts in their field, not just people with big platforms, but folks who are really doing the work and serving clients. So this isn't a highlight reel. This is the real work of midlife businesses. So you always get an action step and homework. Here's your homework. Pick one of these 10 lessons that stood out to you and take one small action on that lesson in the next 24 hours. Maybe it's simplifying something that you offer. Maybe it's rewriting one line of your website to better reflect your message. Maybe it's finally deciding who that ideal client is that you want to talk to. Maybe it's sending that email or recording that video or reaching out to that quiet follower that you know is watching. Whatever it is, as Nike says, just do it. You don't need a 90-day plan. You just need a first step. So I'll finish up with this. This podcast has taught me as much as it's taught anyone listening. And I feel more grounded. I feel more energized and more aligned than I ever have in my business. And if you've been listening, leaning, lurking, or leaning in, I see you. I appreciate you. And I want you to know that this space is here for you. If you want more support, check in the show notes to book your Profitable Path Blueprint call, and we'll figure out what your next step looks like. And always remember, it's never too late to build the business of your dreams. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me on the Midlife Business Academy. If today's episode made you think, or made you feel, or made you feel seen, share it with a fellow business owner who could use it too. When you're ready for more support, you'll find the link to book your Profitable Path Blueprint call in the show notes. I'll be back next week with more insight and strategy to help you build a business that truly fits your life and one of your dreams. We'll see you next time on the Midlife Business Academy.